Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would show you an update on the starter CB carrier I've been working on for a little bit and doing some build videos on. Sorry I didn't get any of those build videos out this weekend, but I wanted to kind of cover some changes made to it and show you the new version. This is the old version. Basically, I started texturing it on the last build video around the front area and things like that, but addressing some of the comments, a really good comment was that the height of the module bay may not be good enough to fit the modules, and that came out to be true. So in this version here, what had taken place is I lowered the landing gear down an extra block so it would give it one more block of height, which worked for one of the modules but didn't work for another module. The Plutus M2 still wouldn't fit, even with that extra block row over there. So that was something I was trying to work out and think about what I'm going to do about that one. And then another thing kind of came up, and I was kind of thinking it myself, but also it was brought up in a comment that the strafing thrust on this ship was kind of weak. Not very good for turning or steering or anything like that. And you'd be better off with the larger size thrusters for strafing. So with those two things, I was thinking about, well, okay, how am I going to make all this work? So let's go over to the newer version here. I'll fly around it too. Also, this newer version got a whole lot of texturing done to it. Here, let me turn off the light here. So to start with, taking a look at like the back side of it, I did a couple things. One, I gave the whole ship a kind of a lift kit, I suppose, if you're talking about a 4x4 or something. I lowered all these thruster pods down a block row from the top, giving an additional block row of height to the ship, increasing the ceiling space of the module bay back over here. So now it can fit even the Plutus M2 can fit in there and still land on the ground. Also, I modified all the thruster housings to fit a larger strafing thruster in there. I didn't have to make too many significant changes to the thrusters to do that, so they're pretty close to where they were, except for, yeah, it does have a bigger strafing thruster, both the front and the rear thrusters. So yeah, it does help with its performance, definitely its strafing speed and turning and a bunch of things. So that was kind of a cool thing there. So then, because I raised this up essentially 2 blocks over where it was last time, that caused a lot of problems with the ramp going up to the hangar. So I had to modify that as well. So I built out this block row over here so I could start the ramps at a lower position and also use the biggest ramps available in the game. But that did correct the problem. So now it goes all the way down to the ground and you can get up into the hangar there. Then I was thinking about it. I'm like, when you first spawn this ship in, it has no thrusters or anything. It's basically a base sit on the ground. And I was thinking your only access point into the ship from the ground level, especially if you're on foot or something like that, is through the hangar door. And I didn't like that either. I kind of wanted alternative places to get into the ship. So then I did this mod over here, building out on either side of the ship these, almost looks like some kind of airport thing, where you can, a big ramp going into the sides of the ship. So now if you're coming in from this angle over here, you don't have to run all the way to the front. You can just kind of go in the side, things like that. I suppose, you know, if you didn't have a module in here, you could also try to make the leap up to the door over here, but that's probably a little tricky. So now, yeah, it's got some side entry points too, and everything's kind of balanced out. So at that point in time, I moved forward a little bit, and I did do a little bit of the bottom of the ship. Don't mind all the black blocks here. I was just kind of messing with that right before the video. Let's go inside here. So I didn't do a whole heck of a lot more to the interior, and the next video, probably tomorrow, I'm going to be working on the interior some more. I got a lot of things to do, but right now I was trying to fit in some other features. So this part here was kind of built out in a previous video, and I didn't really change it at all. But what I wanted to do, part of the qualifications of this thing, is I wanted to get in 2 fill-in 640K storage bays in addition to the built-in 320K storage bays. It's got 4 of those, and I wanted more. yet. So I added 2 of these filler bays over here. So effectively, if you put a controller right where I'm at right now and fill the rest in with container extensions, you have a 640K bay, and there's 2 of them right next to each other here. And I try to make it like really basic, you know, so it's easy to know what to fill in and stuff like that. So yeah, I can do that now. But one kind of neat thing about it, because of the higher stance on the ship, I was able to actually push the floor down in areas that I need the floor to be lower to fit stuff better. And that kind of came into play with these storage bays over here too. The problem I've got is they should both be over another block row. Effectively, what had happened is I didn't think about it. I had a row of blocks over here filling this in, but that prevented you from putting in the constructors or deconstructors over in the spots that were for it. So I might have to push both of these over a block, but yeah, it will have the 2 640K storage bays you can add in at your leisure at some point in time. Of course, it also has the 54 grow plot farm. And then the last part here, I was just trying to figure out what parts and where I was going to put all these big parts right now. And there's a lot of parts that you can put in. And I'm going to try to get a lot of them in here, but we'll see how this all goes. But right now, I was kind of working on like fitting maybe up to 2 of these big advanced generators in here. However, I don't really think it needs to, but I'm not sure. Right now, the ship without a shield can fly with 2 1x3 generators in it, and that is cool with power for all the thrusters that are installed on here. But if you do add a shield and you're charging the shield and you got additional shield parts, you're going to certainly need more power. And you know, that's kind of why I'm looking at this. Now, also with a lot of the parts in the area, including these really big turbines over here, I'm also cutting away the floor so I can fit them better. But because of all the other parts I want to put in here, including a lot more turbines, shield parts, and who knows what else, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to put a wall here. So your hangar's still pretty good sized, but it'll go back to about this point, and then this whole back room area will be dedicated for upgrade parts and things like that: generators, shield parts, turbines, all that fun stuff. As in the CPU core room, that's something else it's going to need. I'm thinking about putting that up back in here somewhere. I think the core room might be in the back part of this room, and then up front here there'll probably be like just a little crew area. Nothing special, but a little crew area, and then you'll have your core room. There's not going to be a door here, I don't think. And then that'll be the farm section. Now, I also did add in a secondary elevator in here as well, in the back part of the ship. This elevator could move from where it's at. It might be pushed in more into the this back engineering room. I'm not sure yet until I get the rest of the parts fit in there. But I think that should work as well. So then I was taking a look at the turbines, and my first thing was I wanted to put in a full set of turbines. But you know, when you get to these big ones, they're big. They are no joke in size. They're 6 blocks tall and 3 by 3 by 6, and there's 4 of these large ones you can put in, and then there's a medium-sized one which is also pretty big. And then when I was looking, I realized that there is another turbine. I didn't see it before. In fact, the values of the turbines have changed a little bit since I was looking at them with the other Helios creation. So now there's these basic ones in here too. These count basically as one large solar panel. They're 1 by 3 in size. So that's another part I would like to have a home for in the ship, is up to 4 of these. 4 of these medium-sized ones, which are pretty big. They're 2 by 2 by 4. And then 4 of these really big ones, which are 3 by 3 by 6. So yeah, that's a significant amount of space just to fit all these turbines in. But the values have changed a little bit too. If you notice the medium-sized one, it used to do 500 watts of power. Now it does 600. The large ones did, I think, 1500 or 1400, something like, or no, maybe it was 1250. But now they do 1800. So even with the 2 of these large turbines in here, that basically is counting as 32 large solar panels, which is kind of cool. You know, the more turbines you can stick in here, the less power and fuel the ship will need, which is kind of cool. I mean, how much that's going to affect everything, I don't know. But again, you know, if you've got the CPU available and dumping these turbines, you're going to get a reduction in your fuel costs, at least, doing everything. And especially nice, too, and why I really wanted turbines in it, or, you know, solar panels, is say you're playing on a server and you're not playing like all the time, and you're growing food in your farm over here, and then you're away for like 48 hours, and then you come back. What typically happens is, you know, you run out of fuel in your ship, and your farm dies, and you run out of oxygen, and everything's bad. So with the turbines, they just keep on generating power over, you know, so you don't have that problem. You know, you turn off your ship's thrusters and just let the farm stuff work, and you should be good to go. So beyond that, shield parts, I did want to put in probably, I'm going to try to fit a set of small shield parts, which should be pretty easy to do, and then a set of medium shield parts in here as well. And that's kind of another reason why I wanted to put a wall here, because I'm just going to need more room. I gotta try to cram everything in this room space here somehow. And I'll probably go through several different layout changes before I get things really dialed in there. One other thought too was I was looking at that smaller fusion reactor, and that would fit great up on the ceiling. It's the same size as your regular shield, but you know, it's a pretty big chunk of change too. I was looking at the CPU and everything like that with it, and I'm not sure if I want to put that in. I don't know if I need 2 of these large or these advanced generators in here either. I don't know if that's overkill. So I got to figure a lot of stuff out yet and figure out how I'm going to try to get the rest of these parts in here, but I've got to be very efficient with space. One option, however, though, just like was done in these areas with both the storage bays and these large turbines, is I can chew away the floor and kind of build that out differently, like I have been over here, so I can fit some more stuff. So that's a really cool option to fit some of these parts, especially the parts that are 6 blocks in height, like these turbines and these generators here. So then I can put them in vertically and be more efficient with space and room and things like that. And again, imagine like 4 medium-sized sealed parts in here, a whole bunch more of these turbines as well. This room area would be filled up pretty heavily with upgrade parts. There are some parts, though, I will probably put in the hangar space itself, especially up in this area along the ceiling, probably for some 1x3 generators and probably your smallest of the shield parts, and maybe even those small turbines. So there'll be more part upgrade area here on the side of the hangar, hopefully out of the way so you don't get fried by any of the stuff. And then this whole back room will be pretty much engineering. I think that's would pretty much lay it out pretty good. The last part, the other thing that I wanted to get in here as well would be the CPU core room, and I believe that is going to be right over in this section here in the back part of this room, and this will probably be divided up into 2 rooms. You'll have like a little area over here for crew, and then you'll have your CPU core room here. And I don't believe there's going to be a doorway here. I just kind of left that there for now. And then of course you got your farming. Then you got your fill-in storage bays at the 2 640s plus all your part upgrades back over there. So once I got to this part of the ship, then I was starting to wonder. Right now it kind of looks like everything's going to work. But I really wanted to take a good look at how does the Janus work in Reforged 2. So here is a stock Janus. I was taking a look at its specs and costs and all that fun stuff. So Janus unlocks at player level 7. Requires these resources here. So hour and 10-minute build time. Does require 53 cobalt. The Janus is built of iron, or or steel, I should say. So it does require quite a bit of iron to build it, but an hour and 10-minute build time. So what I did is I took a version of this ship here, and I stripped away all its thrusters and other parts for now. And I just put in a baby generator like the Janus came stock with, like a 1x2 generator. This also has a constructor and quite a few small constructors in it stock. But I wanted to get a baseline idea of what this thing was going to cost. Now and then there's a question that also come up. Let me do something here a second. I'm going to remove these first, and then I'll kind of show you what it's like with turrets and what it's like without turret stock. And that comes to the next part here. But if we remove those, and it's kind of running the same stuff, it doesn't have the constructor in place. But other than that, it's pretty close, or a detector, but those didn't really cost too much in resources. But here's where it's at right now. Hour and 42-minute build time, unlock level 7. Uses 4 cobalt, and that is for the hangar door. Use a whole lot of carbon substrate, so a lot of tree chopping, some stone dust, tree chopping, stuff like that to get this in place. But once it's all finished up, it should still be under a 2-hour build time. Now, there's something else. There's another aspect too. Another comment that was brought up about drone attacks. And I do believe it's true. So if you spawn in a CV on a starter planet, a starter planet that has a drone base and things like that, you're probably going to get attacked by just like you spawned in a base. The Janus, I used this actually in a previous version of Reforged Eden playthrough, and that it did happen to me even then in Reforged Eden 1, where I put this in and then I got a drone attack. Now the Janus didn't come with any guns stock. They were all left out. And here's my question. First, let me put these back. So here, let me just undo, I think 4 times here. Okay, so now we put basically 4 of these minigun turrets on here, or the lowest, cheapest type of turrets you can put on CVs. So with those in place, it did bring the build time up by around 8 minutes. And it did increase the unlock level to player level 10. It did introduce a little bit more cobalt and 64 neo into the build and 35 titanium. But it means all you would have to do after you spawn this in really is quick build some 15 mil, throw it at the ammo box, and I believe you should be able to hopefully fend off a drone attack. So my question is, how do you think it ought to come stock? Basically, you think it ought to come with like these 4 perimeter turrets on here, raising the unlock level to 10, and introducing a little bit more resource costs into it. Especially the Neo is probably the biggest thing I was worried about. Other than that, I guess there's 2 ways to look at it. One, it's a little cheaper without them, and it unlocks 3 level or player levels before it does here. But is it even possible to get this many resources built up and not hit level 10? I know it's mostly carbon, but that's a lot of tree chopping and stuff like that. And for some reason, I just think that maybe, trying to push this for unlock level 7 is like you wouldn't have this in your factory by then anyway. So I'm kind of right now steering towards keeping the turrets on this build and having it unlock at level 10. But I wanted to run that by you guys and see what you think about the situation there. I think that would be helpful. I remember I got myself into a bit of a bind after I spawned this in, and actually some other players had to come and save me because I spawned this in and I didn't have the ability to build any turrets for it to defend it, and then the drones were coming and I was freaking. If this one had turret stock, then you'd have that kind of perimeter defense up there already, and then hopefully it would shoot out some turrets before they shot up the hull too much. Maybe. I'm hoping. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out. These aren't like the toughest turrets. There's only 4 of them, but they should be able to shoot at any angle that the drones are coming in at. And depending on direction, they should have at least 2 turrets being able to fire at whatever angle the drones are coming in at once. Maybe even 3 if they come in at the perfect angles. But that's kind of where I'm at with this build. Other than that, it's actually going along pretty good right now. I just wanted to get some of these technical things out of the way. And the last part of the build, which is still pretty tricky, I thought the hardest part was going to be over by now, but due to trying to fit so many parts in this area, I got to play like some Tetris here and try to figure out all that stuff's going to go into place into that room. But other than that, it's getting there. It's getting there. And I think it's going to work. Looking at the numbers and the stats and everything like that with it, I think it's going to work. Not that this is going to reflect this end game performance and anything like that, but this version here with all the thrusters installed, not upgraded, but just your baseline thrusters installed. Here's your numbers here. So basically 89 forward, 89 lift, 45 strafing, 22 down, 45 reverse. The yaw did go to 35. The pitch is 32, and your roll is 49 on it. I still wish it had better yaw. That's the stat I would probably care about the most with these secondary stats. Strafing went up a big time though from where it was with the small thrusters. The small thruster version over here, the strafing was at 16. And the yaw was at 29. So the yaw didn't go up as much as I would have liked it to. I was hoping I was going to get into the 40s, but that didn't happen. And there's not much I can do about that. Upgrade the thrusters to the plasma type or something like that would, of course, increase the specs on that. But I think, with its baseline thrusters and things like that, I think it should all work out pretty good. I'm still running some dinky thrusters for the down thrust. Not super efficient, but I really can't fit in another big old thruster over here for down thrust. And I won't really want to run 4 of those on the ship either, but I do want to have down thrust both in the front and the rear of the ship, like all the other thrusters are on the ship too. So it's kind of a thing. I thought about trying to maybe go with 2 of the larger thrusters for down and get rid of the 8 of these smaller ones that are there. But that would, again, push them all on one side. It would probably have some other side effects to doing that. Not to mention, I'd have to end up probably having to rebuild a good chunk of the rear thrusters to be able to fit those big thrusters in, or the thruster module parts or whatever. But anyway, that's where I'm at with the build. Please let me know your thoughts on it. And also, as in parts, I think I've been over that on where I wanted to get small, medium shield parts in. I'm shooting for a full set of turbines, as well as enough generator locations to have it, be cool throughout game. But if there's something else I'm missing, please let me know. Now, I haven't really thought about a long-range radar yet, but I'm thinking what will happen with that is I'll probably set up something on the bottom side here so you could put the long-range radar kind of hanging down from the bottom. The nice thing about having this much ground clearance is there's a lot of play down in here that I can do stuff with, which with a build like this I think is really going to be handy. So I'm actually kind of glad I got those comments on the last videos about checking the height in the module bay and all that stuff, because that made me really think about it before I went further on. I would have hated to miss all that, put it out in the original lowrider version, and then people are like, I can't land this with a module. And that would suck. So I didn't even think about it at the time. I didn't even think about the height of the modules on how that would affect things. The last thing I was doing is I was kind of comparing it to this other base over here. This is, I don't know if I would call it a starter base. It's kind of a mid-tier base, but the Farpoint compound, or probably the newest player base that I made. And this one, I was just kind of comparing stats, specs, sizes to this other creation here. This one has a 2 hour and 12-minute build time. Unlocks level is 12. This one was built of concrete, so it is stronger. And it does have 8 stock turrets on it and solar panels and things like that. So, you know, in the ballpark of what this base is, this thing is going to be right around the same price level, probably a little cheaper. It's not as strong, but it will be able to do a lot more shielding, and it's a full CV with a module bay. So, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to when there eventually is a RE2 playthrough. I would really like to test this thing out, but try to make it work as best as possible, and have as much potential upgrades as I can figure out how to get in there, basically. But other than that, please let me know your thoughts on this, on all the different topics. And one important thing, you think it ought to come stock with unlock level at 10 with the 4 turrets in there already. I think I'm kind of leaning that way, but please let me know what you think of that. Other than that, I will probably do a video tomorrow on working on the interior of this, trying to get that moving forward. And my goal right now is to get this thing out probably this upcoming weekend. I think that would be enough time to get what's left in there to finished up and tweaked and tested and all that fun stuff. So anyway, y'all have yourself a great day. I will talk to you later.